Hello, everybody. This is Pete from Paw Labs. And I just, I couldn't resist the fun. The challenge of this attrition table thing got to me today. I got to rolling it around in my head and was like, well, let's just build a screen or two and see how I want to do it. And I kind of came up with this screen, and then I was like, okay, then we could have, I guess, each column of this thing be a grid of attrition, attacker versus defender. Um, I'm like, okay, that kind of is pretty cool, but what would the super detail of this be? And so first let me say I really hate this screen. It breaks every rule that there is with databases. So the detail of this would be if I was to look at the odds, let's say 1-to-1 odds on the attrition table, then we have to track up to what, 20 fields? So we got an attacker dice roll. Well, maybe your dice roll is 1-to-6. Maybe it's 1-to-8. Maybe it's 1-to-10, whatever you want to play with. Um, and then, so I got to thinking about that. So I got like 20 fields to keep up with, and I don't want to pop a million fields on top of each other. And I was like, surely we can do this within the object model itself, within that database modules, that we can work this out and and make this thing happen. And so I went back to combat attrition here, and I'm like, okay, so let's say we have you might want to create a generic WarGame attrition table for 1d6, 1d8, and 1d10. So you got your three basic tables. And then you come along and say, I'm going to do one that's going to be a really hard grid. And I want it to be more difficult, and maybe there's more damage than normal. And so you could come in and build additional tables. So then I got to thinking that, okay, uh, and this isn't fully programmed out, it's still mostly in my head. I got over here to the creator screen when you're building out your war game. And so then I've got this here that I put in, and that would be your attrition tables that you want for this game. So then you would click this button, and this is my thought process as I go through in development and in general. I'm very visual about it, so I build the screens. So this led me to say, okay, maybe we include 3 or 4 attrition tables that can be used or you've designed for this game. And then when the host person chooses his side and hosts the game, he pulls the trigger and says, we're using the 1-to-8 settings, or we're using the difficult settings, the bloody settings, or what have you, whatever, you may want to call these. So I'm like, okay, so I need to have some way for you to select an attrition table, right? So then I kick this screen up. And so over here would be all the ones that you've configured. And then you can drag over and drop it into this list, the ones you want, or drag them back, or wherever you want to throw the darn things. And if you select one, then down here, we can display what the attrition table looks like for you to review. And I've considered actually even putting the creation, modification, deletion kind of stuff on this screen, but I think I'm coming away from that idea, although it is still tempting. It's just going to be kind of a pain, because my other thought was that uh, the this is the WarGame creator side. Well, maybe that does make more sense. Where I've currently hung this, but oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. So then I took my screens here, and let's back up to this idea here where we have the combat attrition table. Oh, no, don't save anything. And the idea here is that you have an attrition table name and a combo, right? A 1d6. And then we have the 7 options, the odds, right, are 1 to 4 to 4 to 1. So that's 7 to normalize the table where data is only kept one time for any one purpose, okay? So then we would have to have a collection of the odds, and then each of the odds, well, if we look at the odds, this is an example of the odds and the odds detail, right? So all of this, the individual dice rolls are records in a list, and the odds up here is saying what are the odds? What's the title? It's a 1 to 4 or 4 to 1, and here's the collection of the dice rolls. So I took that and said, okay, let's go build some normalized tables. So I came out to my little trusty class builder and created a combat attrition table. And he's got his ID field, and you supply it a name. And then he's got dice rolls. Oh, wait, not yet. Oh, this is the dice roll for this table, a combat attrition. That's your 1d6, 1d8, 1d10 dice roll, whatever it happens to be. Okay, so he has a collection of combat odds. So let's go look at the combat odds database table. And I didn't want to open it up that away. So we have the combat odds, and this is where we get our title. That would be the 1 to 4, 1 to 3, 1 to 1, 2 to 1, 4 to 1. And then he's got his link back to the attrition table, and that's really all he is. So then we come down, he's got a collection inside him of our combat dice rolls, okay? So the combat dice rolls, when this is all said and done, have a dice roll value. You rolled a 1, you rolled a 5, you rolled a 3, and then you have a damage to the attacker and damage to the defender. So this entire table, if it was normalized, has only 3 fields here, 1 field here, and 2 fields here. So what is that? 3, 1, 4, 6 fields. So the entire dice roll table really only amounts to 6 database fields, a whole bunch of lists, mind you. But then I got to looking at that going, boy, that would be a fun challenge to try to put this into a data grid with that object model and put it into a data grid. So I used Class Builder and built my tables, and I'm going to show you some of this as well. So we'll come in here and say, okay, I went ahead and set up that I'm going to hook this up as a parent to a list. So it's just going to be a big list of these combat attrition tables. And then we're going to use the combat attrition table. So this is the only piece, the only table in Class Builder that I actually built the view side, the form side. I built the database, obviously, and built the database layer, the class here. I built this guy out for sure. So then we got to the odds table. Now the odds table is going to be manipulated from code. So the only thing I needed from him was the model, was the database layer. So in this guy, let's go ahead and look at him. In this guy, I did went ahead and said, you know what? I got my form. I'm going to just say it's the attrition table and the form parent is the attrition table and just pick some stupid list. And then said, okay, this is a child collection, but I'll never print the form side. The only thing I needed from him is the database. And then the same thing on the rolls. Okay, the dice rolls. This is all pretty much bogus data. I mean, look at that. I got the about field, the about form as his form, and no parent and no list. I don't care about the form on this. Again, this table is manipulated purely from code, the database itself. So the code aspect challenge of this was really hitting me pretty hard at this point. So I went ahead and said, okay, I want to hook this in at the menus, which is in, let's see if I even have it up. Game player, creator, no. I closed it. Okay, this is part of video game. So what I did was come out here to video game, and this is that very first field, that the form that pops up that lets you select your game. It's got the big menu on it, and then hung a little bit more menu on there, and called my the attrition list. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close all these database code sheets, and let's go zoom in on this one form here. So this is pretty much a standard Pete code behind form. It does have an attrition table data grid, the my grid data grid that I use so often. I went ahead and put a list screen as embedded into him. So when the code calls this function here, he goes ahead and displays this list screen and then gives you all of your options and stuff. Okay. And so that's getting ahead of myself. So then the next battle in here is to say, when you start out, let's go ahead and collapse him because I don't want to show a lot of it yet. When you start out the screen, you're normally saying, okay, here's a list of everything in the database, right? So here's all of your list. Well, currently you have how many? 0. So you're going to come in and want to create a attrition table. Now, remember, all of this database has to be manipulated from code because I'm not giving you screens on any of it. All you're going to have is this data grid to play with. You don't get to create your own columns. I've standardized the attrition table. You got from 1 to 4 to 4 to 1 odds. Okay, I can't see it needing any beyond that. I kind of think 4 to 1 is pretty much overkill. But okay, we'll go with some overkill. And then what I want to do is create the entire table structure, because we know right off the bat, we know exactly what this is going to look like. We're going to have 7 columns of odds, and each column of odds, we're going to start out with a 1d6. So you're going to have 6 rows for each column, 7 columns, all back to one parent object called combat attrition. Okay, so that's what I built here. And I'm going to go ahead and break the video here and end this first half. And then the next video out will be the second half. And I want to thank you all for watching.